Hello everyone, I'm Silly Squirrel, and we are Revive Me Bro Games, a gaming podcast where two best friends discuss cooperative games, multiplayer games, and so much more. Master Rein right now is currently moving and will not be able to join us today, so I will be the sole quote-unquote host. But thankfully, I have... Espérate, ¿cuántos somos? Cuatro. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're a bunch.
We have a bunch of other hosts here to talk about Diablo 4. And two of them are brand new to the podcast. Joining us, it's Leo and Danny. These guys have been playing video games with us, and sometimes if you've been watching the streams, they show up on the streams. Especially if y'all remember the Valheim streams, they were very prominent.
Good times.
Oh, yeah, very good times.
Good times.
Wonderful game. Currently, Leo, Zapito, JohnnyBoi, and Danny have been playing together Diablo 4. Master Rein and I sadly haven't had a chance to play it due to life, but glad that these guys got their teeth sunk into this stuff, and they went to hell and back and hell again. I think you guys are like on your second try, or at least one of you guys is. I don't know.
You saying we have no life, bro?
No,
That's what I understood.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, basically, that's what it's the only way to do it.
Leo and Danny, welcome. Thank you again for taking the time to be part of this podcast. Really appreciate you two. We'll start with Leo and then Danny. Name your top 3 games, no particular order, and then what is your best co-op memory or game?
Top 3 games, I guess. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid, and the 1997 PlayStation Classic Roscoe McQueen Firefighter Extreme.
Roscoe Extreme.
Roscoe McQueen Firefighter Extreme.
1997 PlayStation game. Look it
you
up.
guys don't game at all. Clearly.
Game of the year, baby. Every year. Look it up. Educate yourself.
They just don't know, Leo. They just don't know.
I know, dude. Let's see. Best co-op memory. I mean, the most recent one is playing with Zapito and Johnny and Danny Diablo right now. Good time.
That's awesome. So this is that was Leo. Danny, your top 3 games and best co-op memory or game.
Hey, I'm Danny. Follow me on Twitch, baby. Box of Goolies. My top 3 games are Wind Waker, Jet Set Radio, and Killer 7. And then my best co-op game, Monster Hunter, I think is the best co-op game out there.
Oh, wow. Wow. So I definitely like your choice of games, man. That's very you like cell shaded, huh?
I do. I love cell shaded.
Yeah, no, that was definitely. I like the Budokai games in terms of like the cell shading and how it looked. I really like that.
All right, I know this segment was for Danny and Leo, but let me tell you my favorite co-op.
Yeah, go for it.
This was a memory, right?
Yeah.
It was when we fought the last boss of Valheim.
That was
Skull?
fucking chaos.
When the
skull?
Chaos.
Because we went in thinking we were gonna kick its ass, and it demolished us, man. It killed our portal.
I still have that video.
It was hilarious, man.
It was a close.
Hilarious, man.
Oh man, that's good. Yeah, no, Valheim, dude. To this day, I still want to go back.
I think we should, but once they just released the
updated.
fucking full game, because waiting these partial updates are just, I want to pull my hair out, man.
Yeah, no.
It's like we added a new chest to the game. Who gives a fuck about that?
Same thing with V Rising, man. Another fantastic game, but once we finished what was out, is like, then what, we're gonna play 30 minutes to do the next update? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing with those early access games.
You lose the motivation quite quickly, right? Like you get what you needed to get out of it, and then it's like, why should I go back? But
or at least why go back when it's not done yet?
Sons of the Forest was in early access. I don't know if it still is. And as much as I like that game, it does it does feel like there's a little bit more that needs to come out. So why do I want an appetizer when I'm really hungry? You know, like I want the pizza now.
Now you're making me hungry, and you're gonna hear my stomach growling in the audio file.
So before we get started with the review, just a PSA for the podcast. We are available anywhere you get your podcast. If you listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star review. It's free and it helps us support the pod. Plus, we're giving away free merch. All you got to do is send us a screenshot of your 5-star review to our email or social media, Instagram preferably, with your name and address, and we will send the goods wherever you are. Also, remember to check out our YouTube page with our latest streams and, of course, the latest podcasts. So for today, like I said, we're going to be doing somewhat of a panel. I haven't played Diablo 4 at all, so I don't feel qualified to talk about it. Yet, I'm looking forward to hearing the opinions of these 4 gentlemen here. So, all right, so what is Diablo 4 for anyone that doesn't know? Diablo 4 is a 2023 multiplayer action role-playing game developed and published by Blizzard Entertainment. It is the 4th main installment in the Diablo series. Basically, players create a character from one of 5 playable classes, Barbarian, Druid, Necromancers, Rogues, or Sorcerers, and use their skills to complete quests through combat. The game has had a lengthy early access period, with public betas available from March 2023 and official early access beginning on June 1st. First question, what were your first impressions, especially after having played the last Diablo game?
It fucking kicked ass, bro. Goddamn. Yeah. It did what I wanted, you know? So I'd never really played Diablo 2. It came out when I was fairly young, I guess. And but I was really excited for Diablo 3 when it was coming out. And I had a good time with Diablo 3, but the art style in Diablo 3 was very much like World of Warcraft, and a bright, shiny, not so cool. But this one, they really brought back the grim, dark vision that they had in the past. And the storyline as well is just way darker than before. So it's been a lot of fun. We played the beta too, and yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, so like I heard a big complaint about Diablo 3 was that it was not as the atmosphere wasn't horror. You know, like usually Diablo 1 and 2 were felt like much like a horror dungeon game.
Yeah, dude, it felt like a Goosebumps novel. You know what I mean? It's like it's trying to be scary, but you know.
And you said like it did a lot of things you wanted. Like what exactly?
Honestly, it's just the look of the game, the story, the atmosphere, the sound design. You know, it's all
the music, man. The music is so
the music,
good.
exactly. It's a really it hits the vibe like down to the T. And I mean, we'll get into it later, but it's not just like just a sequel, right? They've changed it up. It almost feels more like an MMO,
okay,
than an action RPG. And so what I like is it seems like the game has built a good foundation, and now, you know, I don't think there's going to be a Diablo 6, you know, anytime soon.
Gotcha.
They're definitely just going to be updating this game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but there might be a Diablo 5.
Yeah, when our kids are born, you know, when our kids are teenagers.
You skipped the 6. I was like, wait a second. There's a few numbers before that, or 1. Anyway.
Which Diablo are we on?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, the story was great, but I don't remember what happened. So don't ask me.
Jumping ahead.
All right. Leo, Danny, what do you guys have to say regarding first impressions?
First impressions is it just looked a lot better to me than Diablo 3. I did play Diablo 3, but I didn't really go very deep into it. I didn't mess with the Paragon points and all that stuff. I basically hit max level and I made another character, hit max level. You know, I tried everything and that was it. And then I just put it aside and I didn't even touch the expansion. You know, it just felt like a Disney-fied version of Diablo. It felt not mature. It felt like they dumbed it down for kids. It didn't have that grit. You know, it wasn't grim. It wasn't adult enough, I feel. And like this was much improved. So my first impression was just that this is more what Diablo should be, and I like the look of it.
I agree. Like I felt like for Diablo 3, the developers wanted something a lot more accessible so that everyone could play it, and that ended up costing them basically the soul of the game was no longer there, right? So that's it seems like you hit a good point where it's like now the game feels like what maybe the adults and teenagers back when Diablo 2 came out like can relate to. Which is great, because that's we want games to, be accessible, but not to completely bastardize themselves. So that's good to hear.
That's funny that like Diablo 3 looks like it was more accessible or whatever, but I feel like 4 is the most accessible Diablo there has been ever. You know what I mean? And I think you can see that by how many people are playing the game and how many articles are coming out saying, oh, you have to make a new character for the next season, which is just an ARPG staple in and of itself.
And you bring sorry to interrupt, but you're right. But another thing that I think was a problem, I might be wrong, but I think Diablo 3 only came out on the computers at first.
Oh yeah,
it was a PC exclusive. Yeah, and then there was one on the PlayStation.
Yeah, because I remember playing it on release when it came to Xbox. I played it Diablo 3 or like a lot when it Xbox, 10 years ago when it came out. I played a lot of it. I made multiple characters, but I never played the seasons back then. I did get into the seasons of Diablo 3 recently while I was waiting for Diablo 4 because I was having withdrawal symptoms from playing the demo.
For you, what were your first impressions of the game?
Definitely the style shift. Definitely it's a lot darker of a game. It plays really well. Like the gameplay is smooth. Like there's no like janky gameplay. I played other ARPGs like Titan Quest. Like sometimes like you hit the button and it doesn't work. It doesn't do the action it's supposed to, and it gets you killed. But combat's great. It feels good when you press the button. It does the action, and you feel when you do it. Gameplay is just smooth. It's good. It's fun to play. It's highly addicting too.
Johnny mentioned that
Nice.
he doesn't gamble. He plays Diablo 4 instead.
Very true.
Forget Vegas. Just give him a Switch with Diablo.
Just give him a loot game.
I can't hear loot games. Yeah, I've played a lot of loot games, man. Like there are my downfall. That's why I don't gamble, man. Like I'd be broke. I like the noises and the drops.
The
dopamine hits.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem. We played the beta. It ended. And I was sad, so I played Destiny.
Let's talk about Destiny. I logged in and played with these guys for one day, and then they never logged back in. They're like, these are the expansions you gotta get, and I got them, and then like I was playing Destiny by myself.
I'm down to go back in for the dungeons and the raids, though.
Yeah.
I still like Destiny.
Well, Zapito and Master Rein played a lot, actually. Well, during, right? Like, you played a lot with Leo also?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know we're talking about Diablo, but since you guys brought up Destiny, are you guys gonna try the marathon game?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I'll try any
The
game.
aesthetic looks super cool.
And
looks good.
the original marathon games are free to download.
The pre-Halos.
They're really good. They still hold up. So coming back to Diablo, and I think you guys already touched a little bit on the next question. For y'all, what is the most improved aspect of this game compared to previous games? And I think Danny already mentioned the accessibility.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the most accessible one.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of agree if you're going to compare it to 2, because 2 is a little bit more complicated.
Was it in 2 that you had the 2 different potions?
I think so.
Yeah. You had to
manage
managing
potions
potions and shit. That's already like too much, bro.
And like getting your build, like making a build in 2, like if you didn't have kind of like a meta build, like you would hit a wall. That's what happened to me, and that's why I stopped playing. I'll eventually go back to 2. But 3 was like very simplified, but at the same time, if you wanted to get to the higher levels, you had to do a meta build in order to actually get there. So far here, I've like respec like 10 times already, and basically, and I'm not even looking up guides or anything like that, and the builds have been good, and I've been able to keep up with the content so far.
Yeah, but he's also like 10 million in the hole because of all those respecs.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not that expensive though. So that's what I wanted to bring up in terms of like what's whatever your question was. But basically, in Diablo 3 they took away the skill tree, man. There was no skill tree.
You just
in
had
Diablo
skills,
3.
and you could switch anytime you wanted. You could have like preset builds and switch between them. Like even like the gear, you could like press one button and switch all your gear at once.
In Diablo 3.
You could have loadouts.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. That's a quality of life that we're missing for sure. But just skills in general, right? You didn't really have like a build you could do. Like it's just okay. I can switch between 3 different skills. And that's about. It was super watered down, right? And then in this game they brought back the skill tree, but they also didn't make it too complex. Like a game like Path of Exile. Like Path of Exile, man. I've tried playing that game, and each time I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play this game, and no, each time I give up because you have to look up a guide. And that's what Johnny's saying, is that like he's respec'd a bunch of times and his builds have worked because the skill tree isn't huge. What I think is great is that like the skill tree is just about the actual abilities and how those work. Once you hit max level, that's when Paragon comes, and that's when like the next steps are just like just stats, right? Like +5 intelligence, +5 strength. That's why it's an accessible game,
For
right?
sure.
Because they don't have to worry about that shit.
Yeah, exactly. So
Until
you're
they
playing
get
it slowly pushes you into the more complicated things, which is I think is really good. Like he was mentioning the skill tree and stuff. At first you only have your 2 skills, your like basic attack and your core ability or whatever the hell it's called. And then as you level up, it gets a little bit more complicated, and you start moving your making your abilities different and stuff. And like they mentioned, once you hit that 50, you get the Paragon, and that's when it really opens up with the Paragon boards and all that stuff.
Yeah, because on the Paragon board, you're getting 4 Paragon points per level, and there's also glyphs. And then with the glyph slots, there's all these different glyphs that you can equip, and they all do different things. And once you have a certain amount of points and certain stats, then it'll unlock additional abilities for the glyphs. So it gets more complicated.
And you have to level up the glyphs and all that. Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
But they release it to you in a
Gradual
good pace. It doesn't overwhelm you.
Yeah.
So
because even when you have the Paragon board available, you can't do much. You're slowly working your way there, you know.
So like when it comes to someone that's just starting the game, does the game basically just focus on you level up your stats, you get more loot until you get to that point? Like is that what it sounds like?
There are no stats.
The skills.
Yeah,
the skills.
there are no stats that you allocate points to.
Of course.
It's only skills.
It's only skills. Gotcha.
So silly. So like, let's say like me. So actually, we should all kind of say what our classes.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. It's actually my next question. But just so that I understand, because it did get a little complicated, me trying to imagine all that. It's like the game holds your hand up to a certain point, and then it brings up these new mechanics for you to test with. Is that kind of what it sounds like?
Basically.
Okay.
Basically.
So I can kind of just give you a quick.
Please.
So like, you know, me leveling as a wizard, right? Like I level to level 2, and then it's like, okay, would you like to be able to cast a fireball, or would you want to cast ice, or would you want to cast electricity, right? I pick that. Then I get to level 3, and they're like, okay, would you like to upgrade that ability to do something else? Or do you want to grab this other ability? So everything is about abilities, right?
Okay.
It's not about stats at all.
Okay.
Nothing about stats, not about any of that.
Okay.
So as you're leveling up, you're like, oh, I want to do this, and I want to be able to do that. So it's like, it's simple, right? It's just like, this does this, play with it, see if it works.
Okay.
If you like it, if you don't like it, you can respec. It's not that expensive, which is good.
yeah, and
you don't feel pressured to like, oh fuck, I have to like
in fact
sit down here and think, you know?
Yeah, in fact, I think in the beginning it's free, right? The first couple of times you do it, it's free.
Yeah,
Free
that's
for
true.
a while, yeah.
What do you mean by free?
Like you can respec for free because later on
There's
you
a
have
respec cost eventually,
Yeah.
but in the beginning you can do it anytime.
Oh, I see. Because the game wants you to really find your niche.
yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. No shit. No wonder. That sounds a lot of fun. So yeah, no, very experimental. It almost sounds like it's very beginner friendly.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. It's very accessible.
That's really cool. Moving on. What was y'all's builds? Why did you pick those builds? And like, ever get too complicated? You know. So let's start with the builds and why, and then we'll talk about the system.
So I ended up picking Wizard. I thought I was going to be a Barbarian at first, but we all played the beta, and in the beta, the Barbarian was the worst class to play. It was really rough on me. Like I remember playing it, and like I was having a hard time with bosses, and then I was playing with Leo and Danny and Johnny, and they were kicking everything's ass. And I was like, what the hell? But that's because the Barbarian is very gear dependent, right? So like. It's actually the most powerful class now in Diablo. It's the most powerful class. But in the end, I tried the other classes, and Wizard was the one that I liked the most.
Yeah.
And I ended up being a Pyro Wizard because I just randomly passed by someone that was like throwing fire all over the place, and it looked super cool. It's just because it looked cool. And everybody else right now in Diablo is playing Ice. So I kind of just want to be, against that. I did that. It's been working out. I'm not super powerful, but in group, like in group play with playing with these guys, I'm helpful. But solo, not so much.
Gotcha. JohnnyBoi, what's your build and why?
I am a druid, and I am playing what's called the shred build, which I'm like get up close and personal and spread poison. That's my latest respec. I've tried several others, and this one is the one I like the most. I'm not gonna lie, druid is also one of the worst classes for at the beginning. From level 1 through 50, it is horrendous. Like you're not doing any damage essentially. Like I would basically just tank things like bosses. I would just sit in front of them and hit them, and then these guys would melt them with their stronger classes earlier on. And now, like after we passed level 50 and I started getting the gear, then that's when like
tables have turned.
I'm destroying everything and I'm tanking things.
Yeah, Johnny's the most powerful right now.
He's also got incredible luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Oh, sorry. This is gonna. I'm I'm gonna interrupt this, but I was watching a Diablo video and they were mentioning that there's this helm, and they're like, "Whoa! Yesterday, 3 people got this helm. Like, it's actually in the game." Johnny got that fucking helm. Dude.
Yeah, but then Leo comes in and shits on Johnny. Saying, that helm ain't shit, actually.
What did he do?
I've seen so many people with that helm. You ain't shit.
It's not that rare, dude. It's not that rare.
That's what they made it seem like in the YouTube video.
No.
Even Blizzard had to talk and be like, "No, it's been in the game."
No, bro, that's the Harlequin's crest is the one that.
No, that's the. I know that's the rarest, but Johnny's is pretty fucking rare.
Nah, you can see a lot to the subreddit have that thing.
There it is.
Why not play with they just fuck man.
Well, perdóname, pues, for bringing the facts. I'm sorry.
Party pooper.
He's just trying to make Johnny feel good.
He still has great RNG, man. I'm not gonna deny that.
Yeah.
He's got like all the best uniques. Way better gear than us.
For sure.
my god.
See, and he's got that on his horse.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yep.
That.
All right, Danny or Leo?
Okay, I am a necromancer. Bone spear build with no minions. And I just, I made a necromancer because I think they look super cool. And I thought it'd be cool to, summon undead and skeletons and golems and all that.
Turns out he's not doing any of that.
And it turns out I don't even use them now.
Because they die all the time.
I sacrificed them for buffs. Yeah. They die all the time, basically. Unless you spec specifically to like have minions, then they're not that good. At least not in late game. In early game, they're great, but then they get squishy and they get killed all the time. And then I was like, well, I guess I'll kill you all. So, but I like Necromancer. It's been good.
I actually didn't play the beta. I jumped in when the early access came out, like the week early access. And we all started playing together, but we didn't really talk. We just kind of made the characters. So I made a druid, and then I saw Johnny had made a druid, and I'm like, all right, there's going to be 2 druids. I don't like that too much, but whatever. I'll play a little bit of druid. I want to have little doggies around. That should be cool. Turns out the dogs are shit. Turns out that the druid I was building as well, like an earth druid, wasn't very good. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try something else. And I made a rogue, and I've been playing that, and rogue is awesome. And for rogue, my build is like a trapper build. I set a bunch of traps on the floor. I run away. They explode. I put another trap.
And then he comes back.
Yeah, exactly. I put another trap down.
He puts another trap.
I put a bunch of other traps.
Yeah.
I run away, shoot some shit. And that's basically my build. It's really fun. I like it a lot.
Sneaky.
Yeah,
I'm very sneaky.
All right, so y'all have very different builds, and that's quite exciting. I'm assuming y'all are very high level, so to speak. I think JohnnyBoi's probably the highest, correct?
No. Leo is.
By one level. By one level, though.
I'm level 80. I'm level 80.
I'm the lowest.
He is the strong. He's still the strongest.
Okay.
Johnny's still the strongest, but yeah, he was out for a couple days, so I passed.
You caught up. So now that you guys have made it to a certain level, you got the gist of it. It's not that complicated. Like, how has that experience been as the more and more you play, and the higher level you get?
I think the most overwhelming stuff is working around your equipment, because other than that,
fucking inventory,
yeah,
dude.
like other than that, the Paragon and the skill tree and all that is pretty straightforward, but like your inventory space is very limited. So if you want to get certain aspects and things, and the equipment stuff is what's the most complicated, I think.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say
It's
so you gotta wrap your mind around
Exactly.
it. But once you get it, after so many hours of playing the game,
yeah.
I wouldn't call it complicated now. Like, we all understand it, and I would say that now it's like second nature to us. It's simple. We're not.
You do have to like sit
stressing.
down and be like, okay, I gotta get this aspect.
You
then.
just have to like look at your gear that you're picking up.
Yeah, you can't be
It's
so
not
mindless.
so much complicated.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much complicated, but the game is severely lacking a lot of quality of life.
Oh,
Right?
bro.
It's still missing
My
stuff. So like
biggest
the inventory is a
complaint.
piss of shit, you know?
My biggest complaint is
it's-
still the overlay map, dude. I still
Okay.
can't believe they don't have
We'll,
that.
we'll, we'll get to
Yeah.
that. We'll get to.
We'll get to that. But again, that's like kind of like when you get to the end,
Mhm.
you have because you're the game you want to get legendaries, right? Legendaries is what everyone wants, and then you get to the point where your stash, your inventory, is full of legendaries, and so I don't want to even log in because I'm like I have to clean my inventory, just to be able to get more stuff.
Gotta do
In the inventory, I
housework.
can't filter it to know it's a mess.
Yeah.
So that is the biggest.
You're right,
complaint.
and also the
Yeah.
filter system I feel like isn't very
No.
good, right? Like when you
Yeah.
sort it, it's still not great.
Yeah. Because it just sorts by power level and like item type. But I would say like the complexity lies like at the later levels. Let's say you get a unique that drops, and that changes your.
Oh, that's gonna
complete-
change your
yeah,
whole build.
it changes your whole build. Like yesterday, I got a drop, which is perfect for the build I really wanted to do. And then yesterday, I finally got the drop I wanted, and completely respect everything. So now I'm poor again. But nevertheless, the complexity lies in me having to.
I've lent Johnny money a few times.
Like I refunded all my skill points, and then like based on like the gear I had, like I had to like separate all the gear I wanted to use for this build that would work with each other. So I separated all that gear and then solve like what because like some gear will give you +3, +4 to a certain skill. The complexity lies in having to put all these pieces together with the right stats into making that the build you want to make at the later levels.
Gotcha.
Where you start having the uniques and the right gear.
So silly, since you don't play Diablo, people want legendaries.
Okay.
The reason why is because legendaries are the only pieces that actually have something that will either like upgrade a skill of yours or change up a skill that you're doing. Say there might be a piece where my meteor,
Okay.
If I get this piece, my meteor will shoot 3 times instead of 1 or something.
Okay.
Like that. So that's why you want to get legendaries. But what's cool about this game that they didn't do it in the other games is that, that's also an issue in like older games is that you might find like that awesome legendary piece, but you keep leveling up and then now that piece is like lower level, right? But you want that ability change.
So like it drastically shifts the way you play when you get a legendary.
I never got to that point with the druid though.
Yeah.
What is the essential, like, what is the loop of the game? For someone that hasn't played it, like, what would you say is that loop?
Well, I guess if you know what the game's about, you know that you're going to be dungeon crawling. Like, I know it's like some people have already complained. I was like, I can't believe the gameplay loop is dungeon crawling. I was like, that's what the game is.
That's the game.
That's the game. That's what you.
But it's been since Diablo 1.
It's like legit dungeon crawling. You go in dungeons, kill stuff, you get loot.
Yep.
But the difference between this game and 3, specifically because I played more of 3 than 2, is that in 3, like once you got to endgame, you only had Nephilim rifts. You did Nephilim rifts, and then you did like the higher tier rifts, and you could go higher to get better gear. Here, they have a lot more endgame activities to work with. Like there's a PvP zone that you can play PvP if that's something you want to do in endgame.
Oh.
They have this mechanic called Whispers of the Dead, and they're just like little mini quest lines. You kill stuff. You also have what's it called, Hell Tides, which a whole zone of the map, it looks red, and you have higher tier enemies there, and you have these chests that you have to collect these embers for, and once you collect enough of these embers, you can open the chests, and they have a high chance of dropping legendaries. And that's how I've gotten most of my legendaries, is through Helltide events.
If you die in a Helltide, you lose half of your embers.
Yeah.
So that's the stressful.
Another new addition, which is awesome, is world bosses.
Oh, yeah.
World bosses.
There's these ginormous bosses that appear a couple times a day, and they always drop legendary. And they can also drop a cache that'll have more legendaries if it's the first time you've killed them for the week. And I mean, I did one today with Danny, and he kept getting one-shotted.
Yeah, I'm also.
Which one?
It was cool,
Which
though,
one?
right?
Yeah, but it goes. I'm level 63, where I'm supposed to be level 70, right, to be in tier 4.
We're in World 4.
In World 4.
No, you're okay. 50,
Yeah, but I keep getting one-shotted by
Hey man, we were doing it.
Yeah, we
at
weren't
that
supposed to do it either.
That's true.
We did it.
level. Well, we did it.
But yeah, you also have Legion events, which is another kind of like activity that you do with other people, the same as World Boss, and that's where the MMO aspects of the game come in. Same thing with the Hell Tides.
Yeah.
The World Boss, you can have like 30
same thing with
people
Hell
there.
Tides. Like you're running around doing Hell Tides, and you run into other players, and you can choose to help them out, or let them run away from enemies and see them die. Like, it can be cruel if you want to.
Yeah.
You can resurrect them if you want to, if they die.
Heal their
Another new addition is mounts. When you do these events, you can grab customization options. You can maybe get like a new mount, a new horse,
Well,
a new like armor for the horse, things like that.
isn't the fact that it's like more of an open world, right? That's a huge difference as well, right? Wasn't
It's
3
true.
like an
Yeah, for sure.
instance thing, kind of? Or am I misremembering?
3
No, you're
3
right.
just
you're right.
had on 3 I think it
It was
just
like
had the
instances,
PvP.
right?
And you
Yeah,
had the
okay.
PvP, and then you just had the rifts, and you could have friends join you for rifts. And I think they had correct me, I might be wrong on this, but I think they had matchmaking in 3.
Yeah.
Which this does not.
But it wasn't like an open
They did.
world.
That was
like
added
Yeah.
later,
Yeah.
I believe.
this one. That's why I see how people compare it to an MMO, because you're running around, you see other people, you're doing those Legion events and stuff.
Yeah.
I see the comparison.
And I think another big difference in this one that hasn't been in the other games is like when going from difficulty tiers, you have a capstone dungeon, that kind of lets you know is like, can I really survive, and is my build good enough to make it in the other tier?
Oh, and the nightmare dungeons too.
Yeah, nightmare
The harder-
dungeons. Yeah, and that's how you upgrade your glyphs, and they're much harder, and they have different parameters. For example, they have affixes. Like there's one good affix, and then there's 4 bad ones. Like let's say one of them will give you extra, like magic find, which you have a higher chance of finding legendaries. But at the same time, the enemies either do more poison damage, take less damage from you from a certain element like poison, and then have like, oh, distant enemies can like slow you down or break your armor. So there's tougher content.
You have this fucking snowflake that follows you around and kills you all the time. Had fun with that yesterday.
Yeah.
How's the co-op experience? Does the game compensate in any way regarding the different builds of each player?
It's easy.
If your build is good, it gets easy.
Yeah, and it's easy. Like the campaign stuff is easy, but I think once you get to world tier 4 and 3, you can see that there's definitely
I think 3 for sure. I think 3 is the biggest.
Yeah, you definitely see the difficulty spike there, but it's never like super overwhelming, I think.
I remember my first Helltide in 3.
But also it can always be hard because it's easy to us because we're doing things that we're supposed to be doing, but we could always go to a higher tier. We could do like, if we did a tier 80 nightmare dungeon, we would get wrecked, I'm sure.
Or like when we were getting wrecked by Elias over and over.
Yeah. He was 10 levels above us.
That was Elias?
Yeah, we were fighting a boss that we weren't supposed to be fighting yet, but we did get him down.
But it's funner that way, right? Like,
it was
fucking
fun.
finally beat him.
Yeah, he was 10 levels above us, and like on that one, Ron and I tried it together by ourselves, and I think Leo was in there for a little bit. But basically, like, just the normal enemies in that dungeon, like the fodder, were one-shotting us.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
If you have 2 people or 4, actually, what's the maximum amount of players that you can play with?
In a party 4.
In a party 4, okay. Does the game ever compensate when you have 4 or 2
scales
or
a bit,
3?
so it just scales the enemy's health. I think that's all it scales, right?
I think so.
Okay, so there
It just makes it slightly harder to kill, but it's just health, right? So having 4 people is always going to be easier than 1.
And how was that cooperative experience?
The first day was the biggest issue, but that was just server issues because a bunch of people were trying to play. So we had like queue times and stuff. And you know, every now and then server hiccups where like it gets like choppy or laggy or whatever.
Danny would randomly float in the air.
It happened to Leo once too, I think.
Yeah.
Wait,
I mean, there's issues that happen, of course, because it's an online game. So obviously we run into issues here.
Yeah, but like from
But
day
it hasn't
one,
been that bad.
yeah, from day one we were playing together, no problem for hours on end. So after the queue, it was great. So
gotcha. So it was very well optimized, basically.
No, the game's not well optimized.
It's optimized. The actual game, I would say, is optimized. The servers is an issue.
I don't know, man. I think there's like a memory leak.
Yeah, I agree with Leo.
It starts getting choppy.
Yeah,
the game will become unresponsive. You have to force it close.
Yep, I've had to do that many a time.
The longer you play, the worse it runs. But there's supposed to be.
You sure it's not your internet?
Did you try turning it off and on again?
Even the last update made it worse.
Yeah, because I think all of us have experienced those issues, and it can't really be all of our internets at one point.
Yeah.
The cooperative experience is very solid, very great. You'll have some hiccups here and there, but overall, this is you guys would say this was a was this a very good co-op game?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Because I mean, you can play this game solo, but it sounds like solo is almost not worth it.
I wouldn't say that.
No,
it's
fine.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's totally worth it to play by yourself.
I think I've played solo mostly, actually.
Yeah.
I'd probably understand what happened in the story more if I played it by myself.
Okay, yeah, that was
That's why he started playing by himself.
Yeah, that's why I played by myself, because these guys would just steamroll through shit. and I couldn't hear the story and all the like little lore things you can find.
Well, don't forget to mention Zapito singing and saying crazy stuff while you're trying to hear the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I played more co-op after I beat the campaign, essentially.
Gotcha. And
I almost think people should play the campaign by themselves.
Yeah,
and then get
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
okay. Is there anything during your fights and your gaming and all that you'd be like, oh shit, like I wish we would have known this sooner? You know, considering you guys play together, have different builds.
Good to tell your friends what you're able to do, right? Because you can like
synergize.
They can kick off. Yeah, they can synergize, right? So like, me as a
for the early part of the game, like I had this ability that would heal everybody close to me. So like I kept that ability for a long time until it became necessary for me to be able to do more damage, essentially. But like I would basically like keep these guys alive without them having to use their potions for a while.
Yeah.
So
because of the build I was using, Zapito's ability, like I think his damage relies a lot on vulnerable stat on enemies, but he doesn't have a reliable way to
that's exactly
vulnerable on enemies. And then my build is super easy for me to put vulnerable on enemies and also crowd control enemies. So we kind of work off each other. So like we do more damage together than separate.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, so I actually have two builds. So like when I'm not playing with these guys, I change up my skill tree, different build. When I'm playing with them, I change it up. Now I have like this ice ability that freezes everything, and I take advantage of it because so what happens is when I throw this ice, I freeze everybody, and as long as all of us put all of the DPS on those people, then it bursts depending on the amount of damage that we put on them. So if I'm by myself, it doesn't do much, but if it's a bunch of us, it shit ton of damage.
I mean, for tips for new people, I would say focus on beating the campaign first. Ignore everything else. Just do the campaign because you get your mount. You want to get that sooner rather than later, because if you start getting sidetracked with a side quest and all that, you know, it might be 50 hours before you get your mount.
Yeah.
And also because
we did that before.
Yeah, we made that mistake. We got it super late. Also, so you can do the capstone dungeon too, which will unlock another tier of difficulty, so you can get better gear. Once you beat the campaign, then you get the capstone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better to unlock that sooner.
Yeah, and once you have your mount, you can easily get the altars of Lilith.
Yeah,
which give you.
Yeah, you can start
stat
picking up
boosts
these
and
things
stuff.
that give you renown and unlock things.
Yeah.
For you.
More potions, stat boosts,
Paragon points, skill points,
etc., etc.
But yeah, new players just blast through that campaign.
Play that game, baby.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Did you hear? I don't know what I'm gonna look it up, but like not many people beat the campaign.
I think Johnny was telling me that. Yeah.
There's still a large percentage of users who haven't finished the campaign, according to Blizzard.
Wow. Would you say it's the majority?
Fewer than 30% of people have beat the campaign.
Wow. What?
Well, I would say we're definitely in the minority, being the level that we are and playing on the hardest tier. I'm sure that's not what everybody else is.
I guess.
Okay, we're almost done here. I just have two more questions. What would you guys say is the hook to play it cooperatively with friends? Like, what is it about this game that makes you want to really play it with friends instead of just going at it alone? Even though, of course, you guys have recommended playing it alone anyways, but at the end of the day, this game is being sold as a cooperative game.
Well, we're just saying play it alone, the campaign, but definitely.
No, of course.
Play with.
But I also don't think it's sold as a cooperative game either.
I mean, from what I've seen, it's like they're really pushing it.
As much as like Valheim and those other ones, right?
Right.
I think those games really change the game completely because there's so much you have to do in those games, right? Building a house, getting all these things.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
That having more people makes it easier, makes it doable.
Yeah.
You know, people get jobs and what to do. In this game, honestly, like we love the co-op, but I don't think I don't think it compares to what you said with like the other ones, right? So it's kind of, it's fun to play with other people, but it's not really necessary.
It's cool. It's
you guys
it's
think?
cool to
Yeah.
see, you know, everybody casting their spells and shit. That's cool. And you're obviously like clearing stuff out faster. But yeah, Ronald's right. You don't have to play it with anybody if you're antisocial or something.
Well, that's good to know. I guess yeah, like it's you there's different ways of playing it, and the game is very friendly regarding that. You know, with the builds, playing with different people, playing by yourself. I think for me, the allure of this game, besides it being a very iconic IP, from the trailers that I saw and even some of the reviews, they really pushed that this game is a cooperative experience. And for me, like this game, you know, especially this year, I feel like with games like Baldur's Gate coming out later this year,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
like there is a push for these very unique single player experiences to become more cooperative, you know. And I'm seeing a trend of multiple games really trying hard to play with your friend and experience the story instead of
No,
just
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said like even a crappy game can be better.
Like crab
friends,
game.
right? Yeah, so like that's exactly. So I think that's a big aspect as to why companies want to make more co-op experiences, right? Just makes it funner.
Yeah, like even
automatically.
here, like
Mm.
yeah, I can play by myself, but like let's say I find a really cool, unique or something like that. Like it's always cool to share it with somebody, and like you brag about your RNG luck sometimes.
Make yourself feel jealous.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun to like have to lend money
Yeah.
to Johnny.
Like every
yeah.
time I go broke from like respecking, like it's like that's what you get for finding gear. Like,
Yeah, it's almost like there's a lot of value in the stories you create with your group, right?
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, most of the time, like yeah, you'll talk about, like I think of The Witcher as a game that I would talk about, like oh yeah, I did this and this mission did this. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. But that's like maybe now and then you'll have an experience like that. But then how many times do we catch ourselves talking about like Valheim, you know, or we're talking about The Forest, or talking about Gunstar Heroes for anyone that grew up playing that. You know, like these stories that you create with the people that you play. I mean, at one point, and the reason why I even made this podcast is because I thought that cooperative gaming was dying, that there wasn't enough co-op games. And lo and behold, I feel like now there's a shit ton of co-op games nowadays, you know. I feel like every other game nowadays has a co-op option. I believe even the latest Avatar game, I think, has a co-op option,
Yeah.
which is extremely surprising to me. It Takes Two.
Avatar the blue people or Avatar the
blue people.
bald
Yeah,
kid?
the blue people. The blue
James
people.
Cameron.
Yeah. You can play the story, but with a friend. Far Cry 6 has a co-op option. It Takes Two is a strictly co-op game, and it was very highly recommended, and it won many awards. So it's almost like you see this resurgence of cooperative gaming, and I feel like Diablo, at least when you played it back in the day, 1 and 2 specifically, it was a very singular experience. And now opening that up.
You know, I wanted to bring this up, and I want to ask you guys, but doesn't it feel like Diablo 2 was the first online co-op game?
I think so. It's one of the first ones for sure.
Oh,
I wouldn't say the first one, but yeah,
Yeah.
it did have
Online, I mean,
co-op.
not-
It did have
yeah.
online co-op.
oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit!
So that's probably why they push the co-op so much and like show it in their, like you said, in the reviews and stuff like that. But in all honesty, it's like it's not needed, right? Like we explained, but it was one of the first games I feel to do that.
Because
I
even
don't know.
the remake, the one they have now, the remastered version, I guess it does have online capability.
Oh, Diablo 2?
Yeah.
Resurrected?
Mm-hmm.
So what were some aspects of the game you had problems with? Like, what was the bad? We've been throwing a lot of good stuff in the game, but there's rarely a perfect game. So what were some aspects of the game that you had problems with?
Okay.
Inventory, mother.
Yeah.
Inventory.
Number one for me.
The
inventory,
gems.
for sure.
No, not me. Every action RPG has a fucking overlay map. I don't know why the fuck this game doesn't have one. Every ARPG has one.
Yeah.
I don't know why this one doesn't have one. It's so weird. It's so weird.
That doesn't
I
bother
don't
me.
get
I
it.
wouldn't mind.
Inside
Yeah.
a dungeon,
You
it
can
does.
pin- you
Inside
can
a
pin
dungeon,
I
it
would,
does.
yeah.
And it'll
Yeah,
tell you where
I'm
to
fine
go.
with that, but inside a
I
dungeon, you
wouldn't
can't
mind
do that.
if we had
Yeah.
a like more zoomed out mini map at the very least. It wouldn't be as
Yeah,
big
at
of a
least.
problem
At least.
if the
Yeah,
mini map
it
was a little
is.
bit more zoomed out. It's too
Very
close in.
bizarre.
So you have to open
Very
your map
bizarre.
and then you can't see shit, and you get killed because you're looking at your map. Like
It's
it's
weird.
happened to
It's
me in
weird.
Hell Tides. It's not fun.
Oh.
Very strange decision. I don't know why.
I mean, to be the granddaddy of action RPGs, not to have a
And not
basic.
to have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just confirming, Diablo 3 had it, right?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And I just played the last ARPG was that I played was Warhammer 40K Inquisitor, and that one had one.
But yeah, the game is missing, like I said, a ton of quality of life. Even like, okay, we're complaining about the inventory being small, but not only that, like we just have no way of filtering anything. I have to like mouse over every single thing to understand,
Yeah.
what the things I have, you know?
Like if you could like type in
And then
like
even the map,
a skill that you're looking
a
for,
place.
and it just filters it out, that'd be great.
Oh, like if it had like a search
Hmm.
for a certain, like you could type
Yeah,
in.
or filter by aspect, or
Yeah,
filter
yeah,
by, fuck.
Also, there should be like a button to like auto deposit all gems in your inventory
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
your stash.
Oh,
It should
gems
be-
take up all your
Yeah.
space in your inventory.
You should be able to like mark things
Well,
as like either
well-
junk or safe, and then just press like a sell all.
Well, you
Mhm.
can mark things as junk.
But you can't sell everything.
Right.
though. There's no sell
I
all.
you
think you
can.
had mentioned this, Leo.
Jeez.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just sell you just once you mark
Once you
it
mark
junk
it
and
junk-
you press to sell one item, it sells all the junk.
Ah,
Oh, but that is interesting. Selling one item, right? That's not very intuitive.
No.
But I think Leo
Yeah.
had a good idea of having, if they should
To mark
Yeah.
what you want.
No, that they should have made. He hasn't brought it up. That they should have make a gem bag. That it's just
Mhm.
takes one inventory slot or something, and then it's like its own thing.
Well, they're gonna
just for
fix it.
gems.
well,
At least.
there was a developer chat recently, and they said that they're going to incorporate the gems into the materials tab,
Oh,
so it won't take up any space at all. So,
That'd be
but
awesome.
they said it's not happening until season 2.
oh my
So that's
god!
like 6 months from now.
Everything is happening in season 2.
Yeah.
And
But at least it's
And
coming.
Leo, and another thing that Leo found out, which is interesting, it's going to take 2 months for that to be implemented. And
Sweet
big
Jesus.
aspect
Two
of that
seasons.
is
Two
because of
seasons.
consoles.
Oh yeah.
Because
yeah,
of consoles, we're like held back on patches because we have to wait on consoles. To wait for Microsoft and Sony to approve
The certifications, they have to get the patches certified.
Is this what?
So, they've done so many fixes already,
Mm-hmm.
but they haven't incorporated them for the PC players because they have to do it everything at the same time, and they're waiting for their console patches to get certified. So we're stuck, waiting. We could be playing a better game already.
Is this why, Zapito, you're recommending I just start playing with you guys later?
When the season comes out,
I mean, we
No, I would-
have to all
Yeah.
reset later, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking we could
but the
all
thing is,
start
if
off at the
if
same.
he were to start
spot.
now, he
That's
could finish the campaign by the time the season comes out.
Yeah, and he could have his mount and everything.
Because otherwise, he'll start from the beginning and not have a mount like we do. Because we can skip the campaign
Yeah.
now that we finished it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mostly recommended it to him because I know he
Yeah.
doesn't have much time, so probably best to play something else if he wants to play something else and then
Gotcha,
play
gotcha.
later. But yeah, they're totally right.
Gotcha.
I want to say it's
Go ahead.
an issue that I have.
Yes, please.
So one of the issues that I have is after level 70, there's not a lot of incentive to keep doing the loop. Aside from getting
Agree.
the gear or finding the unique you want. There's like no more capstone dungeon except for Uber Lilith, but that's until level 100. That you're even gonna be able to do any damage to her to kill her. So between 70 and 80, it's pretty dry. I'm guessing they weren't expecting people to get to that level that quickly, and I think they underestimated like some like the hardcore players and some of like semi-hardcore players, which I would consider us since we're not level 100. But it does get like, I'm probably gonna, after I hit 80 and I can open like some of the caches because they're locked right now, I'm gonna probably go back to Tears of the Kingdom and finish that out.
Like, I was talking to them and I was like, all right, let's fight Lilith, right? Like, that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you gotta be 100. I'm like, what? I don't want to get all the way to 100 to beat her.
Yeah, he already got us to like fight the like tier 4 capstone boss 10
Severely
levels
underleveled.
early. So
Yeah.
Hey, you don't have fun fighting a boss for 3 hours?
It wasn't 3 hours.
It was
It
close.
wasn't 3
It
hours.
was like
I'm joking,
at least
but
2.
yeah, it's fun that way, though. Yeah.
We did a lot.
That's
Yeah,
sounds like
I died a
sounds
lot.
Like
We
For
did it
sure.
in the end, though, so
Yeah.
that was
because
good.
they were 10 levels under. I was like 15 or something levels under.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were constantly reviving.
Yeah, let's just look at him and Danny would die.
Yep.
Just constantly being revived.
Cool. Any other issues, problems, things that pissed you off?
I want to be able to spend more of my money with Blizzard. Give me more skins. I want to mortgage my house. You know, they don't give me the option.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
The
horrible druid skins.
Like, holy shit, they are horrendous. They look like monsters.
Yeah, I think that's why Johnny always wants to be a werewolf. So we don't
Yeah.
see his
His shame.
horrendous human form. This disgusting fat boy.
Anyway, thank you guys for sharing all that. That's very enlightening. I am definitely looking forward to trying out the game, especially on single player first. So final thoughts. What would you rate this game out of 10? Let's start with Zapito.
9.5 out of 10, I would say.
Wow. Almost a perfect game for you, huh?
Love the shit. Love to, just like Monster Hunter, I like the loop of killing shit, getting new stuff, and killing more stuff. I think the game has a good foundation for the future,
Mhm.
but it's still not like a perfect game for sure. They did a great job, and we didn't mention it, but like, I mean, we all know Blizzard cinematics are awesome,
yeah.
and the final cinematic of the game is fucking incredible. And I got to watch it on my widescreen monitor, and actually that's another complaint I have with the game. It doesn't let me see the cinematics again. What the hell? What the fuck, man? Let's see the cinematic again.
Where's the replay theater?
Yeah, good game. Yeah.
JohnnyBoi?
I would say solid 9. A solid 9. There's definitely a lot of quality of life changes that would be nice and welcome. And I really want to see what the first season entails. If the first season is good and I like the gameplay loop that it brings, I'll probably keep playing season 2 on probably all the seasons. But I would say a solid 9. It's a good game. It's fun to play. Story is great, and absolutely the cinematics are just amazing. And Blizzard knocks it out of the park with those cinematics, man.
Nice. Leo?
I'd give it an 8.5, and holding it back would just be, the complaints I have about it. Just a few things holding it back, but I mean, 8.5 is still an amazing game, great game. Lucky to get it 5 to play, I still like the game a ton, and I'm gonna keep playing it, and I definitely look forward to the start of the new season that's coming up, and the battle pass, and playing it with them. So I'll keep playing it, and great game, but I wouldn't give it a 9 or a 9.5. It does have a couple of issues holding it back.
Out of curiosity, what is a 9.5 game in
Roscoe
your books?
McQueen
Firefighter
Extreme
Extreme, greatest game
is a 10
ever
out of 10,
made.
baby. Game of the year every year.
Oh,
Go play.
So
You
some
do not
backstory
disappoint.
on that game. Leo is
Yes.
my brother. And I had a PlayStation 1 game called Roscoe McQueen Firefighter Extreme, and it was a steaming pile of shit.
And I remember when I saw it, I was like, "What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What?" The?
Like,
But in my
What a
little child,
crazy-ass name,
in my
dude.
little child mind, I thought that was the coolest shit.
And the cover
Oh,
of
it looks cool. I just looked at
Yeah.
it. Right now. I'm looking at it.
a 10 out of 10 for me would probably be a Divinity Original Sin 2. That's why I was looking forward to Baldur's Gate 3 so much.
Danny.
I give it an 8, and I will not elaborate.
I like it.
Love it. Great, grand, awesome. And that's it for today's episode, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, Leo, Danny, Zapito, JohnnyBoi. Thank you again. Leo and Danny, this was a lot of fun. I am so glad I finally got you guys in the podcast. Danny, I will send you an apology letter later this week.
Thank you.
I've been this was a lot of fun, guys. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to playing the game. So again, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for inviting us. Try Diablo, man. Play with us next season.
Do it.
Yeah. Anyway, for everyone else, remember to follow us on our social media. Check the links below. We are available on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever your social media is. We got it. Remember to leave us a comment. And also, we're looking forward to our next episode. Master Rein will be back for that one. We have a few more topics to discuss later this year that I'm very much looking forward to. One of them being this resurgence of video game movies and TV shows. Like we're getting spoiled, guys. We really are. Just with like I think we are, man. Like this is like it's been consistently good, for the past.
I know that you said you love the Halo TV shows.
No. That you did not listen to the podcast.
That's what you said. I remember
no, you did not.
You said it.
No.
I'm looking at Master Chief's bare butt.
That was Master Rein,
Bro.
Master Chief.
You liked it.
Go listen to the podcast, bro. But anyway, I think just a side note, ever since that show, like after that, I haven't been disappointed with any video game movie or show. Like everything else has been phenomenal. I think yesterday we were mentioning Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm looking forward to watching that movie, but all I hear is good things.
Very fun.
Yeah, I like that. I like
good time.
And that's what I mean. I feel like we're getting a lot of good content that is video game related, for movies and TV. So,
well, actually, Dungeons and Dragons was a tabletop RPG first.
Nerd.
He's right.
He's right.
And Silly, did you know that the director who directed Moon directed World of Warcraft?
Oh God, really?
Sad.
That is sad.
Depressing.
Let's go.
I
on
wanted
tangent
to.
now.
I
We were
wanted
talking
to
about
like
this
that
yesterday.
movie. All right, this is Silly Squirrel. Thank you, everyone, and remember, never stop reviving. Peace out.